Okay, thanks a lot for everyone who came out tonight to see Joe Sarno. This is Joe, in case anyone didn't know. And Joe's going to have a little talk here. After that, you guys will have a few minutes if you need to go to the bathroom or get some concessions up here, and we'll file into the theater. This is a special night because the print we're showing is Joe's personal print. It's the only 35mm print, or any print of that matter, in existence that we know about. And also unique to tonight's screen. This hasn't been screened, so I'm hoping it's what I think it is, but we've obtained what we think is the 35mm trailer for Abigail Leslie, and that's all ready to go and it's going to play before the film. So that's a treat. And after the film, we'll have a question and answer with Joe. Also tonight we have some posters for sale that are unique to this event that Tara Chicky, part of MOVIATE, made. Those are $10. They're a limited edition of 30, and Joe will be happy to sign them for you in any way that you'd like. Amen. And right now, I just thought Joe and I would have a seat here, and Joe can tell you a little bit about what he remembers from back in the olden days when Abigail Leslie was made. Yes. And Joe, you'd just like to maybe say a little bit about what you were doing at the time and how the film came to be when you were writing the script and then went into production?
Yeah, well, Abigail Leslie is a basic story that I wrote before I shot the film, much before I shot the film. And it's about intrigue, feminine intrigue on Long Island, where I was raised, and sort of the background from my childhood. The part of the story evolved from my childhood, and it's about feminine intrigue, as I said. Sure. And it holds through the entire film, if you notice carefully, this feminine intrigue. And it was I think a good example of feminine intrigue. Back to that.
Joe, do you remember how, whenever you wrote the parts and everything in the script, did you have Mary Mendham and Sarah Nicholson and these people in mind, or how did the casting process?
No. I had much older people in mind, and the story is much older than Mary Mendham and the people that actually acted it finally. But they were perfect for the roles, and they carried them out to the fullest. Believe me, for a short-term film, it really was very sharp. Yes, I'm very fond of that film.
And it is true that most of the players in this film were more familiar with, most people would be more familiar with them as being in hardcore films, but it turns out from your film they're actually all pretty good actors.
Well, they were good. No, they were very good actors.
Sure.
Yeah, the fact that they did hardcore on the side, I was able to overcome that, and where it didn't show up at all in the making of the film. And I feel that it's a very strong feminine film if you analyze it. And it was the actors did a very, very good job for me.
Certainly did. Maybe you'd just like to say a little something about the production of the film, if you remember how long it took, the crew and that sort of thing.
Well, it was very short. We shot. I worked the actors so that their scenes were prepared completely. The important scenes were prepared completely, and they came up, they did their lines, and they did them beautifully, and to my direction, I have to say that, and we got a good film out of it.
And do you remember, as far as what kind of life did this film have as far as theatrical engagements at the time?
It actually got very good play. It got a very good play. They didn't have like tremendously long plays, but it played, and it played to my delight, believe me. The actors were perfect, and perfect. They couldn't have been better. They took my direction perfectly, and I mean, some of the young women had done nothing but hardcore film, but they still gave good performances for my film.
Now, just a quick thing. Actually, I'm going to ask Michael Bowen, who's back here, who's a film historian and Joe's biographer. Abigail Leslie, you found, did play in other countries too. Is that correct?
Oh yes.
Yeah, Abigail got released in Germany, we know. I've seen German theatrical posters for it. It had a kind of dicey release in this country, but only because the distributor, Alan Shackleton, seemed more interested in the investment potential of the film than in actually distributing it. In other words, he was trying to sell that film off of a package of films to people to raise capital. And a lot of these films were financed under the auspices of different tax shelters at the time. So the idea was a couple of dentists and a couple of lawyers needed to sort of lose some money, so they didn't have to pay as much tax on some sort of large capital gain. So they'd invest some money in a film like this. The film would automatically lose money, but they'd have to get some sort of distribution to justify it. But there was no real interest in distributing it. Now that has nothing to do with Joe's investment in the film. He always made the very best film he could, but behind the scenes, these are the kind of things that were going on with some of his films, so they wound up having limited distribution. But it washed out in Germany. I know that, and I've recently seen evidence that it played in Japan. And it could well be that the distributor made some limited overseas deals. You could sell off the rights for a country wholesale at that time. Get whatever, $10,000 and it was gone, and you never saw the film again. You had no idea how it did in that country. And I think from Joe's own records, it isn't entirely clear that any of that money funneled back to his corporation, which was also par for the course in independent film production at that time. But it did get to play around. France, now that you mention it. It played in France. I'm trying to remember, it was something sur la plage. Can't remember the full title now, but something on the beach, which is appropriate when you see the film. There's a lot shot on the beach. So it did get international distribution.
Great. Well, it looks like it's actually about time here, so if everyone wants, they can hit the bathroom quick, and please buy up the popcorn, the coffee, and we'll see you inside.